It's just I hate doing those things, but it's at the same time you have to do it, to honor Russ. And the way it worked out with Kenny showing up was just it was cool. And I got to tell you something else. Another moment that choked me up. I mean, I don't know if anybody caught it, but it actually did on calling a race. I got a little choked up when Kenny Wheaton was there to watch Michael Byram race the Super Sport car, Scott's son.
Yeah. Yep.
And Michael, only the second time in the car, displayed nothing but veteran style patience and drove
won
a great race and won with Kenny there. And I thought, what a special moment for that kid.
You told me that in the booth, and I saw you kind of teared up there.
It was tough. That was it was one of those happy things. Like, wow,
happy tears.
How cool is that? Kenny comes over to see that particular deal, and the kid goes out and wins for him.
Couldn't have been scripted any better.
It couldn't have. And that was a crazy race. I mean, we saw three different leaders give up the lead, and Michael
he was back there like he didn't have a chance, but he was being patient, like you said.
Patient and smooth, and drove a great race.
He was playing a Sandy Sanders.
His patience prevailed.
And it was awesome to see that kid win that race. I thought that was one of the neater moments of the night.
Yeah.
We had some great racing action. I want to get into let's talk about Cottage Grove. I want to talk about Sunset and what happened at those tracks. Cottage Grove had a little bit of a surprise for him on Saturday night.
They did.
Darren Koffel showed up with his late model after
he
pulling.
Must have a twin because he was at Lebanon.
He did. He pulled into Lebanon, unloaded, went out and qualified. And here's the thing: watching Darren qualify at Willamette, I thought, okay, he's got that car dialed in. I thought he looked better than he had all season long. In the qualifying session, the car was hooked up. It was fast. It was going forward. Given the track was extremely rough, even in qualifying, I thought Darren's car looked great. After qualifying, Darren pulls off, and we start going into our heat races, and Darren's heat rolls out in the 46 cars.
No, Darren.
I said, well, what in the world is where's Darren Koffel?
And Darren timed in fourth fastest.
Darren was fourth fast at Willamette.
Well, okay, so there arises a question. I wonder if we would have had dashes if he might have stayed, because he would have been in the dash.
Maybe
on the front row of the dash.
But here's the thing. I'm going to say no.
Back row.
I'm going to say no. Because
my first thought when he left, I was, to be honest, I'm going to be brutally honest here. I thought, well, what kind of prima donna crap is that? But then I got thinking about it. I thought, how wise is that? There's a rough track out there. He's got a high-dollar car, very expensive, a lot of money into it. And I have a lot of respect for the man. I wasn't disrespecting him at all.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't blame him one bit for taking his equipment and going somewhere else to race. Not one bit.
And that's exactly what he did. And I figured, knowing that Darren has had, what I wouldn't call a great season. I mean, nobody, I would say, has had a great season at this point at Willamette Speedway because of what they've been up against. And they're not just racing each other, but they're racing a racetrack that has not been forgiving by any means at all.
And you can say everybody's racing on the same track.
You can.
That just doesn't make it any better.
But at some point, people are going to get fed up.
There's been a lot of tore up stuff because of that track.
Darren made the decision, okay, the track isn't doing what it's going to be like this all night. It's probably going to get worse. We're going to load up and roll. He leaves, rolls down to Cottage Grove. Look what happens at Cottage Grove.
He wins the main event.
He pulled it off the trailer.
By how far?
3 tenths.
Almost 4 tenths of a second over Kai Frick, who was a Willamette Speedway regular for a long time. I think it was a good move by Darren. I think it was.
I totally respect it.
It sucks for Darren's fans. It sucks for the competition that enjoy racing with Darren. But at some point when equipment's breaking, and we're going to talk more about that later on the show.
Yeah.
Equipment's breaking. It's just everybody has a breaking point for everything. And I think it was just one of those deals. Darren hit his and said, you know what, we're over here. We might as well just head down to Grove instead of going back over to Bend.
I believe to him it was a no-brainer.
I think you're right.
Equipment, go to Grove.
Right. And he did. And he won the late model feature.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Now, when he loaded up and rolled, okay, Darren's frustrated. A lot of guys are frustrated. I get it. I was kind of surprised when he didn't roll out for his heat race because I figured what was going on. I figured, okay, that car was not hurt. There was no smoke. It sounded like it was, ready to go. The car was dialed. And then when he didn't come out, I thought, oh, okay. And I know Darren's been a little frustrated. I know a lot of guys have. So when he didn't come out, I thought, oh, no. Here we go. I certainly didn't didn't expect to get on Facebook later on and see Darren parked in Victory Lane at Cottage Grove.
Right.
That was a surprise of the night, I think, no doubt. But is this going to be a trend?
I hope not, but can't blame anybody if it is.
Well, and you're right. You're right, and it's not. There's so many elements here, and we're going to talk more about that. I want to talk about Cottage Grove. I know that we're kind of leading into the major meat of the show here later on, but
Okay,
Kai Frick, who has been nothing but fast at Cottage Grove all year long, and he's got a win down there. I think he's been top 5 like every time he goes down there. He's been fast.
Sounds about right.
When I looked at this earlier and taking a look at the finishing order, look at Josh Sim. And the 20 car picks up a third-place finish, and this is a decent field. Curtis Towns was 4th. Chuck Christian, Dave Schmidt. We know how fast Dave's been. He's pretty good down there at Grove. Rob Williams, Ryan Ronning, good-looking race car. The 15R, the blue and the orange. And,
Oh, yeah.
And then Britton Donahue and Mike Peters. Not sure what happened to Mike, but he was, a ways back.
Was there only 10 cars in that?
Yeah.
10
race?
cars in the feature, and we ended up with 7 on the lead lap.
Right.
3 cars broke. Ronning broke with 2 laps to go, which is unfortunate. Well, it looks like he was 2 laps down.
Yeah, he broke. Looks like, unfortunately.
And the fastest lap in the feature for the late models was turned in by Darren Koffel with a 14.684. It's weird to look at these lap times because you got the first and second place cars were in the 14s. Then you got to go all the way down to 5th place. Chuck Christian in the 422 was the other car. Only 3 cars turned in a 14-second lap. 14.684, 14.947, and actually Chuck Christian was second fast in the feature with a 14.835 on lap 11. His best lap Darren Koffel was on lap 22.
Wow.
You look at these the best laps.
And when they came.
Yeah, it's so different for everybody throughout, all the way through the field.
Well, it looks
crazy.
You all right?
Excuse me. Whoa. I got a frog in my throat or something, but.
Or a cat.
Yeah. God. Dude, you just made coffee come out of Corey's nose. It's starting already. But no, you look at this, and it almost looks like the track came in at about lap 21 to lap 25. The last 5 laps of the race, the track really came in for those D55s, and they were able to hook it up and put it on the ground.
Right. Interesting night for Cottage Grove, to say the least, for that division. Darren being a late arrival and winning. But let's go to the modified feature.
There was none at
No
Cottage
modifieds at Grove this week.
No, they had Hornets, street stocks, the late models, and the wingless sprints.
Okay. Well, let's go into the wingless sprints, and we'll work our way down.
Now, a lot of these wingless sprint cars we're going to have at Willamette this week, correct?
That's right. They are coming.
Okay.
Any surprise on who won at Grove?
Nope, none at all.
I don't think so. I don't think so. When you see Kyle Miller at the top of the list without a wing, it's kind of like, okay.
Next.
Yeah, exactly. And Cooper Desbians, this kid I'm telling you, this kid is impressive. I mean, you guys have been watching what's going on with him and kind of following him.
Well, look at this even farther. Kyle Miller and Cooper Desbians were the only 2 guys on the lead lap.
Right. Right. And we know how great Kyle Miller is without a wing. I mean, hands down, you can argue top 10 on the entire West Coast. Definitely the best without a wing in the Pacific Northwest.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's just that kind
So
of
he'll
talent.
be one to watch at Willamette this week.
He'll be the guy to beat at Willamette this week.
Okay.
He will be the guy to beat. But this Cooper Desbians kid, we had his dad on earlier in the show. He was the first guest on the hot pit when we opened it up, talking about the carts. Right. This kid, I'm telling you right now, keep your eyes on him and watch him as his career develops. He is nothing but fast. He is a consistent driver. He's got a ton of seat time in his cars already, and the kid can't be over 17, 18 years old.
I have no idea how old Cooper is.
I mean, he's young, and talented.
Cool.
Kid can drive. Alberdine, third, no surprise. Ricky Ashley, he's been fast all year. We've talked about him multiple times here on Northwest Dirt
We've
News.
seen him develop this year in the sprint car. Right. He's impressing a lot of people. He's really putting his name out there.
He is. He's really adapting to that race car very well, and we know it's just a matter of time before we see him up there with Miller and Desbians and on a regular basis. I mean,
absolutely,
there's no doubt he's just taken to this. This 5th place finisher, Lindsey Barney. This young lady, what is she now? She's 16, 17 at best. And if you haven't seen this lady, I'll call her a lady. Have you? She's just, I mean, incredible behind the wheel of a sprint car. She is so smooth. I think there isn't any one of these guys in the field that wouldn't want that talent she has. As just, I mean, holding the wheel so smooth, so talented. Watches ahead of her. We watched her, I think it was 2 years ago, at Salem in the micros. Sweep the entire season. Did not lose a main event.
Oh, wow.
They had a bounty on her for the last race. It was like $700 cash and a new rear tire and a seat and this and that. If anybody could beat her. And she went out and swept the entire season. I mean, this girl.
Well, kudos to her. That's awesome.
There is a future star right there.
Absolutely.
You talk about names coming out of the West in the sprint car divisions. You will know Lindsey Barney.
To pull something off like that.
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of.
It absolutely is unheard of. I mean, that is 1 in a million right there. And that girl is. We got to watch her run her first few races up at Sunset when we were there with Moxie, and man, oh man, I mean, a couple rookie mistakes that year that maybe cost her a race or two. But when you see talent that good, you know where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. And right now for her, it's much like Cooper Desbian's. There's no ceiling, unlimited. She's phenomenal. We're going to see Jake Gilman. He'll be there. We know that. Lance Hallmark. Guy Weedman. Brad Rhodes is another guy that is fun to watch, the 50 car. He'll be at Willamette Speedway. Chris Batalja.
Right. We're gonna have a guest speaker on the show later on affiliated with Jake Gilman and Chris Batalja.
Right. And it's a pretty cool deal what we're going to talk about with those guys.
It is.
They'll be on at 7:05 when we're talking with them. Rob Lindsay, another guy to watch. I don't know what happened to him, but he actually won the last wingless race that we called at Willamette Speedway last year when he showed up, and smooth, a great driver. Mark Hers. I was surprised to see Mark Hers at the bottom of this list.
It looks like he didn't even start.
But something happened. I know it was a heat race. Something. I mean,
broke.
They've got great equipment, great talent. When these guys show up for Willamette, it'll be these guys and some. I'm going to guess it'll probably be 18 to 20 cars. I'm going to guess that's about the range I typically get with the wingless cars at Willamette. Out of those 12 cars on that list, I'd say right now there's 8 that you could say is going to win. I mean, really, realistically, is going to win.
You could probably say that about any one of them, actually. I mean,
anything
can happen.
This field is tight. I mean, Kyle Miller is the top of the list. Without a wing, like you going with Crockett, I would not go against Miller without a wing.
Are we putting a bet up again?
No, we're not.
I was wondering if that's what he's leading into.
I was wondering here. I mean,
you're taking Miller, and we get the field.
No.
What? I did, and I pulled it off. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm not.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Nope.
Come on.
I don't care what you guys do. I'm saving my money.
You're rolling for $2 so far.
I can't win a bet to save my butt.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what these guys do on the big track at Willamette, because I think it's one of the bigger tracks other than Elma that they're going to be on this year.
That makes a big difference coming from the Grove to Willamette. It's a totally different track.
It is, and Willamette is not really a sprint car track.
It's not.
You've got the long straightaways. You've got the tight corners. It's not your typical sprint car track.
Where the Grove is.
Yeah. I mean, you're going from the high banks, wide sweeping turns, short straightaways of Grove to the long straightaways, tight corners.
The Grove is much better suited for sprint cars.
There's no better place, definitely in the Northwest, to watch sprint cars than Cottage Grove. There's not.
Skagit?
Nope.
Elma?
Skagit's far too dusty.
Elma?
Far too dusty, and no.
Elma's way too big.
The speed at Elma is phenomenal with these cars. But competition, racing-wise, as a race fan watching sprint cars, wing or not, there's no better place to watch them than Cottage Grove. There just isn't.
Okay.
See?
If you say so.
I am.
Alrighty then.
It'll be fun to watch these guys, because actually last year's race,
excited.
You were there for last year's race at Willamette. It was pretty good.
It was.
Rob Lindsay collected the win, but
I like watching the sprint cars. I think they're a hoot.
Everybody knows my thoughts on them.
Well,
but
everybody knows my.
If I'm going to watch a sprint car race, I'll watch them without wings before I watch them with wings.
That's good, because that's what we're doing this weekend.
That's right.
Yep. A wing's like a crate motor.
Street stocks.
Yeah.
Look at the top of the list. Second time out.
Any surprise there?
Not at all.
Here's what surprised me. Look who's sitting in fourth place.
Well, that's right. Kyle Yak was finishing fourth. But you know what? This is top to bottom, I don't care where you're at right now in the Northwest, the street stocks are the most competitive field of cars. Whether it's the field at Willamette or the field at Cottage Grove, these